There are some different components in here as we talk about community. So there's always a read aloud.
Friends of JM Pro TV, so we are right now in the conference. It's a little long, the name, but just please tell me the name.
African Americans in Western North Carolina and Southern Appalachia Conference.
And we are here because it's very important for communities of color to be here and learning about what is happening. But one thing I want to know from you, Flo, why do you think it's important to have these kind of events here in our community?
Yeah, I think it's very important because, I mean, in a town like Asheville, the population of African Americans is significantly small. And so it's a lot of the histories. You know, a lot of people don't think, oh, yeah, Black people live in Asheville. Black people live in Western North Carolina. You know, we forget that. And so bringing to life the histories and even celebrities that are from Asheville, talking about the conditions of the education system today, you know, that's very important that we talk about that, considering it's a topic very buried.
And also we are like the communities of colors, Latinx, African American, we are like try to intentionally be like behind the curtains. So, but here in this conference, what are the speakers and everybody trying to push?
We're pushing for awareness in all aspects, really. You know, we have people who talked about the media, African Americans in the media, you know.
Media, here we go.
Yes, and then we had another person talk about Moms Mabley, a comedian from Asheville. You know, she moved to vaudeville in New York years ago. That was like in the 20th century. You know, so we're bringing to light a lot of different types of history. And for me personally, I talked about the education system. You know, the conditions, integration, you know, the resistance, you know, the big achievement gap, you know, things like that.
And you also are working in a research about, please share with our community, what are you working on?
So my research has significantly progressed as I have only focused on African Americans in Western North Carolina. Today I talked about African Americans and Black students in Asheville. And so what I mean by that, I talk about, you know, post-slavery, I start there. So once slaves were freed, you know, we get the opportunity to, you know, own land and do all these things that we're not free, you know, we're not slaves anymore. But then we talk about the socio-political oppressions, you know, the resistance by white power, you know, and so that has really driven a lot of today, you know, Black livelihood today, Hispanic livelihood today, you know, livelihood for today, because those systems, those laws in housing conditions in the education system are driven by the laws that the white community have put together. And so that's what my story has focused on. I bring in a lot of experiences from today's classrooms. So I've interviewed some students and I bring in their narratives, and a lot of them talk about things like they feel like their teachers are not giving them that much attention. They feel like they are, as Black students, they're destined to fail because their teachers don't expect them to succeed, you know.
And we know recently a study that is showing, well, everybody knows it because you can see it in the classroom, but showing that the few percentage of the teachers in our county are from communities of color. I think it's kind of a disparity that, what do you think could be a solution to start changing this situation?
You know, I love that question because that's another thing that I talk about. You know, the lack of Black students having a mirroring image is what I call it. You know, somebody that looks like them. And I think to solve that issue, since I bring up the statistics, it was 92% of white teachers are, 92% of teachers in Asheville are white, and 95% of teachers in Buncombe County are white. You know, and so I think the resolution to that is intentionally having an agenda to hire more teachers of color. You know, sometimes that might sound scary for a lot of people in power, like the leaders, because they're like, no, we don't want to exclude a group. But for a long time, you've been excluding a group. You know, so how about this time we're intentionally looking for teachers of color, teachers with education degrees to put in these classrooms as leaders, you know, whether it's a teacher or a tutor, or, in any aspect, even like career programs, where they would come in and this Black CEO would talk about, hey, I'm a CEO, I do this for a living, and interact with the students. It's important for students to see that picture.
And in the short term, so there's something that also can be done, like starting by the books that kids read in school. So we've been talking with our friend Bianca that has an organization that deliver, that read and share books where the characters are people of color. Because one of the things that they notice is like also the people of color is absent in many of the stories.
Yeah.
So that's something a short term.
Yeah, that's definitely true, and I think that really highlights the reason why we have the African American Conference too. Because like when I mentioned earlier that Moms Mabley was one of the topics discussed today, we're highlighting the fact that a lot of people of color are, number one, not talked about. She's being buried. Nobody knows about who that is, and she was a Black comedian, like the first African American female comedian in the history of the media for the United States, so we're trying to bring that to light, to bring that up, to not continue to bury people of color in history. And then lastly, with one of our other presenters, Anitra Griffin, she talked about what I mentioned earlier, African Americans in the media. And it's because we talk about the region of Western North Carolina. Why are African Americans not discussed? Why are they not in the newspapers when they're the most despaired group? They're lacking a lot.
In the times that we're portrayed like intentionally bad,
exactly,
right?
Exactly. We're continuously portrayed like the Black people, they're poor, they're not wanting to move up, they're not, but yet the system is pushing them back, and they're not even wanting to shed light on maybe why they are not moving forward. Yeah.
So those topics are being talked and discussed here in this very important conference that it's gonna continue tomorrow, right?
Yes.
So we invite you to come. So it's not late, so you can come. By the way, there's a lot of food. It's very good food.
Yes.
There's very good people, so you can find Flo and other people here. I saw Mr. Harris there, and there's Cortina from. Oh, and I remember the organization is Colorful Pages Coalition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So please come to the conference. So, and we are here at the university, right? It's University of North Carolina and in Asheville, and the building is the
Highsmith Student Union. Yes.
That one. Too long for my memory. Okay, so please come to the conference, learn and talk with these very interesting topics and know more people, and let's push together, right, Flo?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this, to move towards progress.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank
you, Flo.
Absolutely.
Go Metal is a family-run company in Canton, North Carolina. We service all surrounding counties in western North Carolina. And today, we are a major supplier of metal roofing and siding panels for residential, industrial, and agricultural projects. We are able to turn around custom orders in much less time than any other metal roofing manufacturers in the area. We try to provide for our customers exceptional value by ensuring excellence in our products and services. Come visit us at 16 Pigeon Ford Road in Canton, North Carolina. We are located right off of exit 31, across the street from Ingalls. Look for the big gorilla logo. Give us a call anytime for a free estimate, 828-492-1616.
MC Servicios Latinos te ofrece el mejor asesoramiento para tus impuestos. Y si tienes un negocio, te ofrecemos asesoría, bookkeeping y payroll. Además, seguros para auto, casa, negocio y compensación laboral. Si necesitas obtener o renovar tu ITIN, hazlo directamente en nuestras oficinas. Te esperamos de lunes a sábado en la 34 New Leicester Highway, Asheville. O llámanos al 828-582-0823. MC Servicios Latinos.